to El Niño Maravilla. Today is Friday, September 26, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Excelencia. It's been over a month since our last call. In that time, Lakis has launched a new product, hot sauce, and I think he's also now leaking a new song. So I'd love if you could get us caught up a little bit. What have you been cooking over the
Yeah,
past month and a half?
yeah, man. I've been working on this for a few years now. I kind of said, and if you go to our site, we have the story section, and I kind of said something like, it's actually something I've been thinking through for like 10 years, but in reality, I've been working on it actively like 2 years or something like that. So we finally made it happen, and so it's like my first. It's interesting because I thought about it this year. I did my first artist-owned platform, Maravilla City, and then my first like artist-owned CPG brand, which is the sauces, Pt.2. So we made it happen. We launched. I was gonna launch in the summer, but we had a couple like setbacks, but we made it happen officially. So it was also like the good thing is, if anyone's interested, I was essentially working the album, creating, producing, making music, and I always make that the focus before I jump into anything else. So even though I had been working on this, 2 years, I kind of locked in, made the music, focused on the music before kind of going all in on all the other stuff. So yeah, now we're here. And then like you said, I'm testing leaking a new song, more of an exclusive for Maravilla City. I just gotta, ramp up the promo and sharing more about it so that when it officially goes live, I want to send people to Maravilla City first before it's out anywhere else, which I haven't done yet. Like I've had like previews or like, I'll say like, oh, it's also on Maravilla City. In this case, it's more of like, no, it's gonna be on Maravilla City first. And then, we'll decide how we roll it out, traditional, so to speak. So that's what we that's what we've been cooking.
Cool. Yeah, I saw yesterday, I believe, your reel where you were sharing the whole behind the scenes with the original designs, you doing stuff in the kitchen. It looked very manual all the way up and through. It looks like now maybe you have a more formal production line of
Yeah.
getting it all in place. And it's for me, it just jumped on my radar. We had never talked about it before. Maybe I read a little bit in the on the site, but when I saw you launch, I'm like, oh, you launched a product. That's cool.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't know how much work had gone into it. And so then to see the behind the scenes was like, okay, this it was nice to see the process because I again hadn't heard anything of it. And so it was nice to see some of the storytelling. I watched the whole reel and it was
Nice.
great for me to get caught up to speed along with I'm sure everybody else of just like this has been something that is very much in your hands, a creative act, another thing that you are expressing your creativity through.
100%. Yeah, it's. So I wanted to get this kind of summarized video story out. Like I was like, we need to get this out. Like this was like my priority was to get the process out. But I want to do like more focused ones next time. So this is more of like a summary, and we got that out. And so then I want to start kind of breaking down more about like the process, the thinking through it, why those flavors, why those designs, how we put it together, how I'm thinking about it as an artist. And I did write a piece on Substack about it where I kind of break down like how Piquet is a part of it's like an extension of my brand as an artist. So I've been sharing stuff on there, but visually I've been wanting to do more videos around the process of it because it was sudden and it was kind of random. And so people were kind of thinking it was a brand collab. Like they thought that maybe I'm working with a brand that already exists. They have their own sauce product thing or whatever. But I think when people see like, I always say we didn't just slap a label on it. Like we really put in a lot of effort and thought into everything from the name to the branding, the design, the flavors, like all of it. We put in 100%. So I need to get that out there, and that's what I'm excited to do. Is just kind of be like the face. And originally I was kind of like, I don't want my literal face on this or my literal name. I want it to be its own thing, but I have to share the story, right? I gotta, be in there in the trenches and kind of like show everyone what we did and what's next.
Yeah. Where can I go to find the Substack article? I'm scrolling through your Twitter right now. I've
Uh,
gone back to September 16th. I've gone back 10 days. Is it further
man,
back than 10 days or is it
I
not on?
honestly I couldn't tell you. Let me see.
Maybe you haven't posted about it on Twitter?
I don't think I posted about that one on Twitter specifically because I had already shared a lot. September 16.
So
Let
should I go
me.
on directly to Substack then?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I almost want to
Let me
put it
share
in
screen.
here.
So let me try searching here for
It should be like,
or La X.
yeah, it should be like he's there. It is.
There we
Nice, great to have you on there.
9 people. What are these? No, I want to follow
That's
you.
tricky. Does it?
Okay. World building is. Oh, so it's also like a social platform.
I've been playing around. Yeah, I've been testing it out. I had been
And
sitting
here it
on
is
it.
from the studio to your kitchen.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of share the story in more text form, um, for those that are interested in like diving deeper, essentially. But I know how strong video is, and I really want to do it. It's a lot of fun to kind of share all that, and it's
This is
not
great. I
too
really
crazy.
appreciate artists that write. I know that like video is catchy. There's less and less people that go and read.
Mhm.
Personally, I find writing a very healthy practice, and I'm sure that it's a part of your behind the scenes practice with how you have created the brand, have created Pt.2, how you create the lyrics for your songs, and getting a formalized piece out like this is not only something for you to formalize your own ideas,
Mhm,
but something
mhm.
for PR, for news, for like myself to understand, to
Right.
formalize, okay, this is you encapsulating a portion of the story, putting it out there. And now I won't read it here on this call, but now I've got it open so that afterwards I can review and further step into how you're thinking about it. And
Right. Yeah. Even Jamie shared a note. He restacked and shared a note about how, some artists are doing different things, right? And they're kind of like pushing the bar and like how to, take it one step, And honestly, this was like a crash course into everything that we talk about, whether it's ownership, distribution, audience, community. The amount of data and stuff that Shopify gives me is really strong. And it's very useful. And I think it's sick that it's all in one dashboard. I've used Shopify for years, but it was print on demand, right? So it's a little different when you use it when you're doing almost everything on your own, and you have people supporting you, and they're buying in person or they're buying online, and you have so much data, so much insight into everything broken down. It's pretty wild. It kind of blew my mind, like, once you're doing it. And it's a lot of the things we talk about, right? Like Maravilla City, like if there was a back end to Maravilla City, it would kind of look like the Shopify dashboard. I would say, right? We're collecting email numbers, wallet addresses. There's the ability to upload music, files, videos. The sharing the imagination onto the social feed, like doing all of those things and having a dashboard for that. I think that's sick. It's obvious. It's one of those obvious things that are like slept on, in my opinion. Which I feel like a lot of the crypto music apps, they had like good backends, but I felt like they could have had stronger ones for artists. Like when you use any of the platforms, we don't know where any of these like people are collecting from, right? Like maybe they don't want to share that data, right? So I respect that, but I think even having an overall picture of like, hey, US, Latin America, Asia, like even like something broad like that would have been, I think, useful. But we never got around to see that phase or for that to develop, right? Where we have more data, more insight into the things that we want to do.
agreed. It's still very early in the infrastructure for on-chain technology, especially in the artist side. We've had platforms like Bello that have come up. Maybe they're
Right.
still around, but it feels more or less like a sunset product.
Yep. Yep.
Platforms like Sound will build their own and then they'll die. And so it's like people will build their own internal, or companies that tried to build a more distributed, shared, nothing is stuck yet. So
Right.
you could see it as a problem for right now, something that's lacking. And for whoever is hearing this and is excited to build, it's an opportunity for an entrepreneur or a builder to build what's missing there.
100%.
So we've caught up a little bit on what has already been shipped, well, what you've been working on. Did you have any goals coming into this call of on the technology side, things that you wanted to talk about, things you want to be built? I want to make sure that we focus a good portion of this call on the tech, if there are things on the tech side that you want to talk about.
Yeah. Coming into the call, I was thinking through what does the full like launch experience look like on Maravilla City. For example, I'm thinking through like a multi-tiered release for the project once it comes out. So let's call it, it's coming out in November, fully 14 songs, full album. How can we I've been thinking through that multi-tier release. And so I've been thinking through how can we integrate at least something into Maravilla City. I think we talked about it once. It was this idea of having the center planet be the hub or the space where someone can come in and collect or purchase the album and have them support me with like that direct to fan experience. Very similar to it. Picture a Niño Estrella experience, but within Maravilla, right? So it's kind of familiar for those who supported us then, and anyone that took a look at it. So thinking through, someone comes in and collects the entire album in a single transaction. These could be 14 open edition, music NFTs, so to speak. That could be interesting, and we don't have to do the token bound. I've been kind of like playing around with. I think I showed you the V0, playing around with GPT, just kind of figuring out what are other formats or standards that can be used to make that experience happen. So yeah, I've been thinking through that. Full launch, what does that look like? Release day for the album for those who want to support.
Cool. So we'll run back. Right now, your thinking is we'll run back what we did for El Niño Estrella. One click, you buy a series of open edition 1155s. It gets either sent to the collector's wallet or into a container album NFT. Am I properly understanding what your vision is right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when I said multi-tiered is I'm already exploring something on Transient where I'm
Mm-hmm.
exploring some one of ones on there, and those, but that's a different tier for someone that wants to support a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And so then this open edition drop could be another tier, right? A bit more accessible,
Right.
kind of like we did with Estrella, where you can go on Sound and collect a single song to support, or you can
Mm-hmm.
collect the full thing on our front end on Estrella City.
Mm-hmm.
So very similar, but maybe adding another tier is kind of how I'm thinking through it. But in this case, Transient is its own thing, its own platform. They have their own sort of mint pages and all that stuff. So I didn't want to like complicate anything there, but
Yeah.
rather focus on the Maravilla City experience.
Right. So it sounds like top of funnel is streaming on Spotify, listening to you on Instagram and your reels. Maybe that's probably top in the feed where people are already spending their time.
Yeah.
Next step is visiting the site, listening to the untitled player, finding the unreleased music, maybe signing up for your lay low. One step further of commitment of giving a little bit of info, accessing a little bit deeper, getting onto your site. Next step, buying one of the open editions, whatever the platform is that you release them on, as singles, whether it's Manifold or In Process or OpenSea, or have you given thought to what platform that is?
So I've been messing around with Manifold.
Manifold.
Yeah, Manifold, Transient separately. They do have open editions and stuff there. But
Cool.
yeah, Manifold was one that we have integrated already in the site. So I
Right.
focused there.
Cool.
Yeah, essentially that's how I'm thinking.
So go to Manifold, buy the singles on Manifold, Discovery on Manifold, because they have their own distribution. From their next step down the funnel would be doing the one-click Central Hub Planet. One click, you buy the entire album. Maybe it includes the wrapper album container that contains all the songs, and then the final, either the bottom of the funnel or like the top tier of the collector would be your Transient Labs. That's like the ultimate in that you right now we're not thinking of putting that on the Maravilloso City website, thinking of that is accessible only on Transient Labs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking that'll be smarter. I think that'll be best.
Copy.
That way, I
Copy.
think like most people would want to support maybe the kind of the full song experience, the full album, kind of like Estrella did, where people I feel were interested in seeing how it worked at the very least. Because I had people that just wanted to kind of experience it, right? I don't know if they
Right.
heard the music post, collecting, but they liked going through it and seeing the capabilities, right? And then it was
Mm-hmm.
up to me ultimately after the fact. hey, I just airdropped, into your token bound, a visual music and video or whatever, so little things like that. But yeah, definitely, I think you got it down packed for sure.
That should make the tech side relatively easy. If we're running back what we've already done, the only difference is going to be instead of collecting across Zora and Sound,
Right.
it's all going to be on Manifold, and it sounds like it's all going to be on Manifold, so it's not even distributing it across platforms and
Mhm.
all going to be on Base.
Exactly.
Cool. So one
All
chain,
of that.
one
Yeah.
protocol.
I feel like
It'll
last
be.
time we solved a huge problem.
It definitely made it more interesting. You're designing it differently based off of the tools that are at your disposal at this point in the cycle. Something I've personally been thinking through is the checkout process,
Mhm.
especially for non on-chain people. I think we're at a point where credit card is still decent and Apple Pay is still decent, but it's not top tier.
Yep.
Crossman is clunky. It takes a little while to load. It still includes too much terminology like NFT, being able to see the transaction, etc.
Mhm.
It exposes a little bit too much the on-chainness. I think Stripe and Shopify still have the like best checkout experiences with Apple Pay and Google Play plugged in,
Yep.
but their off ramping into crypto experiences is not necessarily there.
Mhm.
So something I've been thinking through with Coop Records and in process is how can I kind of hack together, particularly for me, Stripe. So something I've been wanting to build out some prototypes on is focusing on a Stripe checkout, focusing on credit card payment, Apple Pay, the stuff that Stripe offers,
Mhm.
and then using webhooks to uh, airdrop the tokens or do the on-chain stuff behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Uh, that way, you get your dashboard, you get your Stripe dashboard, you go in there, you see where all your payments are going, you plug it right into uh, your traditional US bank account,
Mhm.
and then I can plug in on the tech side webhooks so that okay, purchase is complete. We airdrop the tokens, we do the stuff, and then we focus on presenting to the end customer. Here's a top tier normal experience that you're used to if you're visiting Kendrick Lamar, SZA, Bad Bunny, if you're visiting one of their sites.
Yeah.
We're also doing stuff on chain in the background, but we're making it really totally invisible. Because I think where it's going is Stripe is they're buying Privy, they're buying Bridge,
Mhm.
they're launching their own
Mhm.
chain, they're getting into the stable coin stuff, but it's still not ready. They have these USDC bank accounts. I've sent them 10 emails, and each time they say, oh, you're not available, you need this type of account. And then I try to open up
Right.
that account, and then I send them an email and I'm like, hey, can I do this? And they're like, well, it's not this or this or that. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So it still feels like it's not ready for me to be able to build it into the apps. But that's just something I'm thinking through. And I just want you to be aware of that. Like, if you want to prioritize credit card, Apple Pay checkout, where my head is at of using Stripe instead of Crossmint. But if we want to still use
Yeah. No,
Crossmint, we can
absolutely.
absolutely do Crossmint like we did last time. My personal experience is it's clunky, and I feel if you want their top tier, fully customizable experience, it's expensive for
All right.
independent musicians like us.
Yeah.
While Stripe is free for everybody with a very consistent paying business model.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm down to go with your thinking. I remember one of the issues we ran into for Estrella was this idea that it can only, if you use a Crossmint, for example, or a credit card, it was collecting one item at a time or something like that. So you didn't have the ability to add multiple to cart to then check out and collect or purchase in that sense. So yeah, whatever you're thinking through, let me know, and we can do that for this experience, like this sort of grand finale. Because I was looking at other, let's call them direct to fan platforms that have some sort of commerce integration, but it felt like I have Maravilla City. Let's see what we can do there, as opposed to like using something else. Even if we could embed it into it or somehow, but I was like, maybe there's a way to do it on directly on the site and see how that goes. And we're going into this interesting era. We're seeing a lot of independent artists either like doing their own website, microsites, apps, platforms, whatever you want to call them, playing around with like unique products, unique offerings to offer their fans and kind of get them thinking like, oh shit, okay, like a physical product with the songs on it, or an NFC chip that enables this or that. So I'm seeing this trend, and it's gonna pick up in my opinion. Or like the iPod trend, right? Like there was an artist that bought a bunch of iPod Nanos, loaded her album into it, sold it on her Shopify store or whatever it was, right? And then fans are like, wait, they're taken aback, but then they're so interested in seeing like how does it work, as weird as it sounds, right? They're so used to that digital on-demand experience. This kind of gives it a little more, but yeah, again, having that integration on Maravilla City, and then I can think through what happens after the purchase, which is always fun. So yeah, thinking through the things like that.
Are you planning on releasing the singles on Manifold relatively soon, or are you thinking of, asked a different way, what is your timeline? What's your
Mhm.
current timeline for releasing the singles on Manifold?
Yeah, so I've put out 3 so far. So now I'm thinking about releasing 3 more, 3 to 4 more leading into the full album in November. And so that's kind of the timeline that I have. I'm aiming for like November. I think I was thinking November 21st. It's like a Friday. I could, do it before that, before it hits, digital stores, traditional stuff. I think that adds to the excitement, kind of windowing a bit, letting people know like, hey, I built this because I believe in it. So I'm gonna have it come out release before prior to that. I think that could be cool. So that's a timeline that I have in mind.
So you already have 3 of the songs on Manifold.
Yes,
In that case, I'm thinking my next step is to start building out a prototype of one click to purchase them all.
exactly. Yeah, that could be sick.
Do we want both crypto purchase and credit card checkout, or do we want to prioritize it's all credit card checkout and then behind the scenes is on chain stuff, but we're streamlining, just go to Stripe, put in your credit card details, do your Apple Pay? What are your thoughts on the checkout
I think
options?
so. I think so for sure. Like that could be a great way to approach it. Versus last time, it was very on chain, and then credit card was kind of like, and it performed well. It did well, And um, but I think we're going into that next phase of let's try the opposite. So that could be interesting
Okay.
because like ultimately, like we anyone building in crypto music, whatever, we have two audiences, and that's the truth, right? There's like this crypto native collector base, and then you have they which could still be fans of your music, and then you have your traditional off-chain fans. They're fans of your music, but they're used to other experiences, whether that's buying merch on Shopify or buying on iTunes, which a lot of people in Latin music still do, or they're using Apple Music or whatnot. So that should be interesting to see.
I think the the only blocker I have is knowing where those songs are on Manifold.
Okay,
So
it's the same contract, but it's the same contract we've been using, but it would have to be the token IDs. Would have to give you
copy.
the token IDs per. But if you go actually on I did something on Manifold where they added like the ability to update your front page like profile.
Uh-huh.
And what I did was that I prioritized. If you go to manifold.xyz at La X, I prioritized the 3 songs to show up
Okay.
there. So that might make it a little easier. And they each have an edition page with contract info and token ID and stuff. Yep. Yeah, so I prioritize like the songs there, and each one has an edition page. There's more info within, a little more context per song and stuff like that.
Excellent. Okay, so I will start with these manifold / at Laekis. And I'll get these plugged in and I'll start thinking through what the architecture will look like to focus just on Stripe checkout with
Mhm.
webhooks in the back end to do those on-chain purchases into the whatever wallet got connected when they sign in.
Yeah, exactly. And we still have like the inventory page on Maravilla City is open for, if we want them to redirect there after purchase, and there could be
Mhm.
some more exclusive content, a shout out video, a little more context. that could be like the second part of the experience post checkout.
Redirect to / what is it? Imagine or inventory?
I don't know. I don't think we've I can't remember if we have something for inventory.
Or you're just remembering from the last, we do have an inventory page.
Okay, nice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just saw. Yeah, like that could be a good use of that, where everyone can see their collection, so to speak.
Right. Are you still? This is a great place for us to start. I was going to ask if you're still feeling third web, but it's not unrelated.
Okay. Yeah, it's. I follow your lead with a lot of these things. I know Privy's the go-to, at least for for wallets and stuff, but I didn't know if we were in too deep already, which I don't think we are, but
yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
No, I would say I submitted for base grant, submitted for base mini app feature for Maravilla City. Forgot to mention that earlier in the call. So I went ahead and did that. I've reached out to a few people in the team and stuff, just kind of like I'm sharing it again. I'm not giving up.
Right.
I believe in the project, like the idea, the model, especially seeing a bunch of other artists starting to embrace microsites for albums or releases. And it's not just like, hey, this is me, the artist, and like, here's my tour dates. It's like like nah, like we can go a little deeper. So I'm hyped about that. The thesis is proven to be right.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you haven't been waiting for me. You've been doing the applications for the hackathons. You've been building out your own products. You've been building out your own sites. This feels like emphasis on the model as well, that like I'm here to help, more hands-on initially, and then over time, as you see how I work and how we work together, you are becoming more and more independent, and I love to see that. So if you haven't already, if you're watching and tuned in, make sure that you follow along Excelencia Laekis. Go onto the Substack, read the article, follow along on Instagram to see the new updates. Go on to Maravilloso.city to listen to the new tracks as they're coming out. He already said he's going to be leaking them there first. So we will